we made our way on the Bakerloo Dragon.
We did.
We were supposed to get to heaven, but ended up in Finsbury Park instead.
I think it was a Victoria Dragon I ended up on, to be fair.
Kibo.
Yeah.
Talk to me.
Hello, how are you doing?
How did we get here from making music for fun to starting a project?
Oh gosh, how did we? Well, I mean, I think like I touched on a documentary, there was a moment there where I kind of figured out, I was at a point where I was like, making music is fun, but like I say, like once I've made it, and because I was always doing it for me, once it's finished, I've made the thing that I want now. So I don't need to share it. Like I don't really care about anyone else's opinion on it. And it wasn't until I had a real sort of revelation on like the Kwengletarianism shit where I was like, I think I've worked out what my unique perspective is that like might actually be valuable to someone. And I enjoyed like deciding, all right, cool, I'm gonna create a project that sort of endeavors to like present that in an interesting way and that hopefully like some people can connect to.
Let's start there.
Yeah.
What is Kwengletarianism?
Yeah, Kwengletarianism. Kwengletarianism is how I put it. Kwengletarianism is the prismatic foil on a Fugazi Yu-Gi-Oh card. You know what I'm saying? It's the rhinestone teeth on Taz's teeth on a Lot 29 jumper. It's like the sword-shaped stick that you found in the park when you were a kid. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's the backstory of the stick man that's running on the buildings when you're looking out the window in the car. That's what Kwengletarianism is, you know what I'm saying?
It's like the beginning of your own film, like a kind of scene that you're setting for like your whole journey in music.
Exactly. And it's rooted in reality, you know? A lot of people have commented on this project talking about world building, but I like to say I'm myth building, you know, because what I'm doing with Kwengletarianism is I'm not trying to create a new world. I'm not trying to create like some fantasy land. I'm trying to find the fantasy in the land that already exists. You know, I'm using my very real context to create some sense of mythology and legend that people can latch onto.
Let's start there. The fantasy land begins in Harrow.
Yeah, for me.
Tell us about Harrow. Like, give me the shape of what this place is today in 2026.
Wow.
You've come from this place. How many people were from Harrow in the room?
Aliens, stand up. Harajuku, swag district. Yeah.
But it's one of those places that there's a lot of like music places, Peckham, Brixton, I don't know, Bow. Harrow is not on the map musically yet until you.
Until one day, Kibo came.
So
Harrow's savior.
What's going on there?
Nothing. That's kind of the point. There's fuck all going on there. But I've come to realize that's low-key the best part about it. For me, personally, because I don't feel like there's any like deep musical lineage that... I feel like if you were from any of those places that you mentioned before, you've either got to like carry on the musical lineage of those places or you've got to divert from it in a way that's interesting and then like fight that battle. But I kind of feel like Harrow is a bit of a blank slate musically. I mean... like every time I talk about like being a musician from Harrow, I'm like, there's got to be someone that I'm like forgetting, and then like someone's gonna pop up and be like, actually, I was doing this in 2004, but no one has yet. So if I'm mistaken, forgive me. But as far as I'm aware, I'm the first person to do it. So it's kind of sick. I get to be like the sort of the origin point. You know what I mean? And you know,
well, give us a shape of I guess the nothingness to you, because I guess this is like the place that you come from. You're looking at the screen at the same time. There's all these other influences pouring into you. But that still is the place that you're going to go back to. Yeah.
Well, I think that's where I think when you live in a place like that does feel sort of so boring and like there's nothing going on. Like you kind of fall into the screen a little bit and you look for influences outside of where you're from. But I think another thing I've realized as well is that like for me, Harrow is a very boring place, but also it's boring for, I mean, I love it, obviously, and come around to love it. And you know, we like, trust me, we can have a good time in Harrow. Don't worry about that. But it's a universal experience of just like wherever you're from is a boring place because it's pallet town. Do you know what I mean? It's level one. So if you're going to go anywhere else, Or even a better analogy that I've come up with since doing a documentary is it's like the castle in Mario 64. It's like you can jump around and do flips all day and it's gas, but like you're not gonna make any progress until you jump through one of the paintings. You know what I mean? So we can flip around Harrow all day long and we're gonna have a good time, but like if we're actually trying to go somewhere, like we've got to jump through the painting.
So this project is part of like pushing out of the bits. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Or I think this project is the telling of the story of how I came to realize that's what I needed to do. So I think throughout the project, it's exploring me realizing that what I need to do is jump through the painting, and by the end of the project, realizing that all of those paintings that I jumped through. I hope you lot have played Mario 64, because otherwise this analogy might be lost on you. But if you can jump through all the paintings and you need to get to where you're trying to go to, but at the end of the day, the best place to fuck around in Mario 64 is always going to be the home screen. You know what I mean? So it's like you say, you've got to make it out, but you always got to take it back as well. You always got to bring it back home.
Maybe let's start with like an anatomy of one of the songs. So Headside, I said like, let's start with breaking down what's happening in this song. That I'd heard you on MCing on sets for a few years, and then that was like the first Kibo song to me.
Right. Fair play. I got you there. I mean,
I know you had songs before that, but
in my mind, that was the first song on the project because that was the first. Screws sent me that beat, I think the week after I dropped FBFR. And when I heard it, the two things that I heard were, I'm a very like cinematic music listener. So when I hear music, I imagine a scene in my head. And the two things that popped out to me was, it was a color scheme of like a sort of a white cream and a light blue. And it was my local park, Kent and Rec, bang, bang, old title, My H Aliens, yeah? And between those two things, I don't know, it just hit me like in my soul. And I was like, okay, like this ain't just something I'm gonna just spray bars about shin pads on. Like I actually need to have an idea of like where I'm going with this one and do something meaningful. And the first thing that spoke out to me is I was like, this is the first scene of the film. I don't know what film it was. And then that's how Kwengletaria Ragamyff was made. I continued making this film. So I wrote the project as a film, and that it was the first song on the project. It was the first song that came to me as part of the project, and it was also the beginning of the film in my head. So yeah, I wrote the whole project like that. So I feel like without that song, it wouldn't have been that. And I think also it has that, you know, it draws from a lot of, you know, it's got that like early UK garage sound. It's very like MJ Cole, sort of like, it's got like a
how early in the decision making was that, like to even decide to go down a garagey route with that? Because nothing else on the project sounds like
I said, so there was no, in terms of like making musical choices on this project, it was all to serve the narrative of the, I've described this as like, it's not a mixtape, it's not an album, it's an OST. It's like a soundtrack for a film. The film doesn't exist, but that's how I approached the project. I made it. It's the sound of a story, right? And as soon as I heard, so basically, there was no point where I decided like, I want to make a garage project. I want to make a grime project. I want to make a rap project. It was always, this track is this scene in the movie. What is the sound that is going to evoke this scene in the movie? And for me, that like sort of happy-go-lucky, early sort of like candy shop garage sound that I went for with that song is the earliest sort of like ignorance is bliss version of Kwengletarianism, which funnily enough is also the final version. It's kind of like a full circle thing. I always tell people the true way to listen to Kwengletarian Ragamyff is to listen to it from top to bottom, and then when the project finishes, you listen to Headside in the Skies one more time.
Oh.
That's the official listening order of Kwengletaria Ragamyff.
You got to add it like twice to Spotify or something. Like, crazy.
No, because that like that's the nuggets for those who, you know, it's like some it's like some Star Wars shit. Everyone's gonna have their own order to listen to the project. If you're asking me, that's the official listening order.
That is mad.
Yeah.
Okay, we just put that out there.
We just put that out there. Elijah, exclusive.
Maybe break down the last verse of that so we can understand why you're going to go back to it again.
The last verse of Headside in the Sky.
Yeah.
What, like the bridge bit on the breakdown? I said, what, the Dragonite Skyline, Gundam Tracksuit, East Blue Sky Pure Bus Route, Hoodie Up, Sailor Moon, Transformation, Megazord, Form of the Station, Cut Through. It's all about, that's the core of Kwengletarianism right there. It's finding myth in mundanity and me finding my myth through the screen, through like all the media I was taking in as a kid, you know. So I put on my tracksuit in the morning, it can be quite mundane, but for me it's my Gundam. I'm putting my mech suit on and I'm powered up for the rest of the day, you know. Dragonite Skyline. That actually comes from a real experience I had as a kid. I was on some long drive with my parents and I was looking out the window and on my life I saw a Dragonite. And I know I didn't see a Dragonite because there's no but I saw it, like it was there. You know what I mean? And that was where I was like, oh, like even then when I got older, I was like, my like the imagination is bare powerful because I like gaslit myself into believing that Pokemon was real because I seen the shit with my eyeballs. So it's all about drawing myth from the mundanity and using. And that's the beautiful thing about Kwengletarianism as well. Like I said, like all of those things that mythologize my sort of everyday life are just ideas that another person had who live in their everyday life. So if whoever made Gundam, I forget the bear's name, hadn't made that, then I would never have been able to draw from that as a version of fantasy. Do you know what I mean? We take fantasy for granted because at the end of the day, fantasy always comes from humans. Like,
and then you're layering.
And then
like
you layer it and layer
their
it.
fantasy, and then someone else is going to layer your fantasy with their fantasy, make
and it
the
just
next
gets,
thing.
you know what I mean?
We were just talking just before we started about other people making music from the area, is that if they were going to approach a kind of Kwengletarianism way of thinking, it wouldn't be like necessarily in rap, it would be like in ambient or with guitars or something completely different, yeah?
Yeah, I need some kids to come out of Harrow and start a Kwengletarian new metal band, you know what I'm saying? That's my mission, calling all H aliens.
Let's talk about the show that in Trinity that I came to.
Yeah.
Because I've over the last couple of years, I've kind of gone into like a kind of very localism vibe, taking music to the ends. Like usually when you get music to scale, you have to like do things in central London, in Shoreditch, in Brixton, or in Oxford Circus, or in Soho.
Yeah.
But actually, we don't live there. We live in Waltham Forest. We live in Harrow. We live in like these kind of corners where we've been pushed out to over the years, and like actually having music in our own ends is kind of rare.
Yeah.
And I saw what it meant to everyone to have an actual show there. Yeah. What did it mean to you?
Bro, it was amazing. It was, you know, obviously we had just come off the Queffy World Champ tour, doing all of the main dates and taking it sort of all around the UK, and people was gassed. But then we brought it back to Harrow, and like Harrow sold out in like an hour. They were saying like we's up there with like Kate Nash and Scouting for Girls with the way we sold out Trinity and that motherfucker, bro. That shit was crazy. So like on a personal level, just to see that like, you know, the place that I've been representing for so long would show out for me in that way was a beautiful thing. But then also for people there, I got people coming up to me being like, you know, some of them being like, yo, like, you know, I do music, but I just kind of do it on the side. But like you like, you show like you can do something like this and like actually do it on a local level, and it can feel impactful. And also other people who are just like this, like it feels like, you know, like with more of this and we build on this, it's like you can build real community and real structure. And like I said, like obviously I was being a bit funny about it earlier, but like genuinely, like my goal is just that in a couple of years, like there's more kids coming out of Harrow like making music, and you know, if like hopefully there's an element of what I laid down like rooted in that. But regardless, like even if it's just the sense of like making it so that, you know, a kid from Harrow doesn't feel like they have to go into London. They don't have to jump through the painting to be engaged in
Bakerloo Dragon.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Being able to walk home from like performing is like an amazing feeling.
If they're lucky. I couldn't walk home from that show. I'd be so real. I definitely had to hop in the whip.
All right. I guess for me, like listening to your music and like maybe the way I was like magnetized to the way you MC was the amount of either vocabulary or words that I just haven't heard for a long time, and then that are new to me at the same time. So you're smashing together like so much like London slang history that I'm like, oh, okay, you're using all these words that I haven't heard for ages. That's super important. And then there's all these other like new introductions to words or things that I don't even understand at the same time.
Yeah.
Can we like maybe raise some words that you feel like you want to like bring to the forefront? Like, why do you say this thing and this thing and this thing?
Well, what's your selection of words? What's your favorite?
Man, like, I mean, you've made up a big one in Kwengletarianism.
Yeah, that's a long one.
How do you even come up with that in the first place?
Like that sort of becomes just the amalgamation of everything. Well, I'll tell you the base behind all of that is when I feel like it was something I was naturally doing. It was just like my way of self-expression, but it probably a lot of it comes from things like, you know, wrestling promos or Smack DVD interviews, which are basically the same thing, and people just like finding flyways to like express themselves. But when I was doing I went to Brunel. I did a course in like film and TV and drama, and I had a hold tight Fiona Templeton. That was my last year. She helped me with my dissertation, and she put me onto this thing called hyperdiction, which is basically like this idea of smashing all different dialects together that you draw from all different places and kind of putting it in a blender and having your own like sort of like language smoothie. You know what I'm saying? So I think for me, it's a play like obviously growing up in Northwest London, picking up all of this Northwest London slang, a lot of it being like sort of archaic Northwest London slang as well, just from being like an internet kid, like my relationship with grime and like road rap, for example, being so retroactive and just like drawing that all from YouTube and stuff. And all of this slang that feels local to me, but at the same time, like also being super into like fantasy and anime and, you know, like literature, do you know what I mean? And taking all of this, all that language as well and mixing that together. You
Give
know
an example of like hyperdiction, like the way you write. So maybe like there's some bars that you can be like, okay, this is the best example of that.
Kwengletarianism in of itself is sort of that, because it's like, you've got like Kweng, which obviously comes from like UK slang, but then the Letarian, which kind of gives it like almost like a little, it's almost like French, you know what I mean? Like, letter, you know what I'm saying? Like, ooh, all right, we got fancy, you know what I mean? And then you put the Rianism on the end, and now it kind of feels like it's like some important ancient school of thought, or like some like dojo from back in the days, you know what I mean? Like some kind of like way of living, and you like, those are three very different sort of dialectical choices that you smush into one word, do you know what I mean? But on a lyrical level, you know what I mean? Like, it would be individual words. So like I might put like, do you know what's a great example? Do you remember when Chris Eubank was talking about stupendous confectionery?
Yes.
That's hyperdiction. There you go. So then you know what I mean? That's, yeah.
Like you wouldn't, it would be really unusual to hear that in like a rap song.
Word. But then I put it in a rap song, and then it's like,
but
then it's like the Chung Ting is a stupendous confectionery. That's hyperdiction.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And yeah, for, I guess, people that, even if English is your first language, that's a new language to you, right?
Yeah, it's the Kwengletarian dialect, you know what I mean?
And like most of the people, I guess, working with artists over the last how many years, is like people would describe what they do as like more like a sound rather than like an ethos or philosophy. Yeah,
I've always been super anti like having a signature sound. I think that's the stupidest thing you can do as an artist. I think having a signature sound for a moment or for an era or a project is like a really commendable thing. But I think if you have a signature sound and that's your thing for the whole of your career, like like you're a bit of a wallad, do you know what I mean? Because it's like we're not gonna go anywhere else.
Yeah.
That shit never made sense to me. I think that's like one of the many reasons why the project is so like diverse genre-wise and sound-wise, is because the core of the project and the thing that ties it together is the actual content that, you know, the things I'm talking about, the themes I'm addressing and the way that I address them, and I'm the through line through the project. And I feel like as a rapper, that's what you should be. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But yeah.
I think like this, I guess, how I've been introduced to you was through sets.
Mm-hmm.
So like there's, I guess, the immediate assumption that like you're a Grime MC, for example.
Yeah.
And I guess the modern way of approaching that is like multitudes. Like you can do that.
Yeah.
You can make songs. You can, I don't know, be in a band. You can put on a theatre show. You can do
all of it.
Yeah, you can do all of it.
Yeah, and I think that's like, I think people still have this idea that like being boxed in is super important. Like I think I've said it, I think I've made the distinction in the past where I've been referred to as a Grime MC, and I've been like, well, I'm not a Grime MC. And I think people took that the wrong way and they thought I was trying to like sort of spat off the grime thing, which I was never doing. All I'm saying is when I'm on a grime set, I'm a grime MC.
Yeah.
If I'm on a rap set, I'm a rap MC. If I'm on a jungle set, I'm a jungle MC. If I'm performing on stage, I could be any of those things. Do you know what I mean? And when it comes to my own show, I'm going to bring all of those things into the forefront, and then it's just me. Do you know what I'm saying? But I think if you call yourself one thing, then you subscribe yourself to one game, and that's just not what I'm interested in doing. Do you know what I mean?
100%. While we're here, let's talk about Grime for a second. So in Grime, there's this. I mean, this is not necessarily a Grime set, but the Victory Lap kind of way of organizing. So Victory Lap is what do you call it?
It's a cypher. I think that's the distinction. I think Victory Lap is very like cypher. There's been some that are more like, the most recent one I was on was more grime focused, but for the most part, I would describe them as like a cypher.
Okay. So give me the difference? Because everyone's got a different definition of these things.
Well, again, I think that's where the distinction between being a grime artist and being a rapper or whatever comes in, because I think the energy of a cypher is more MCs coming on and showing their stuff, whereas a grime set is a bit more of a communal thing.
Okay.
So I think the best way I would describe it in the modern era is, if you want to see like what a really good rap cypher is, watch Victory Lap, and if you want to see what a really good grime set is, watch Trash Presents. I think those are like the two sort of apex of the two different versions of what like a live music set is.
And
right
the artists
now.
are quite interchangeable, so you'll see someone one thing on an hour doing kind of different styles, right?
Yeah, and again, that's the beauty of it. I think like if you can come into one, that's exactly why I don't call myself a grime MC, because it's like I will move through all of these spaces, and I'm going to take what I take from grime into those spaces the same way I'm going to take what I take from rap into a grime space. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's super interchangeable. But I think the difference really is in a traditional grime set, it's more about the relationship between the DJ and the MC, and there's that like there being some level of synergy. Whereas I think a cypher traditionally is more about the DJ is kind of there to run tunes, and it's more about showcasing an artist.
Perfect.
But like with that I think that's what made the last V-Lap so cool, is that like near like sort of halfway through, it sort of starts to bleed into more of a grime set, and then you see like the dynamics change and stuff. And I think that's super interesting.
So my like take on it as like, I guess, a fan watching it at home. So if you watch this set, it's Victory Lap, Cortez kind of crossover set,
it's the second Cortez one.
And Kibo's MCing, and everyone else is professional wrestling term here. Is no selling. So he's killing it on the mic, and most of the other MCs are stiff, not reacting to the bars. He's dropping humorous lyrics, like
They try doing like Will Ospreay.
Just like nothing, just like not reacting at all. And one person is reacting in the room. It's JME, like, you know, one of the legends of the grime scene, MC culture, British culture, period. He's the one that's reacting, like more like reflexively, like it's super honest. It's not fake. It's just like he's bouncing around. He's laughing at the jokes. He's listening to the lyrics. He's not just like bouncing around just for vibes. It's like he's listening, reacting. If something made him laugh, he laughs, which sounds normal, but everyone else is stiff. It's like watching, 10 Icemen and JME just bouncing around. But the way they have the camera angle is the DJs can't see. The DJs are not looking at what the MCs are doing. So think of it like maybe like a boiler room or something like that, where the boiler room DJs are not seeing what's happening behind. They don't really know. You're moving around MCing, JME's bouncing, everyone else is stood still. And there's another moment a bit later where Skepta comes kind of through the doorway at the back. JME is not aware of Skepta's reaction to it.
Neither am I.
And vice versa. I don't think Skepta probably is not aware of how JME's been reacting the whole set either.
Right.
But he's reacting to your lyrics as it's going off, like, what the hell? Like, this is mad. And then he calls for the reload, kind of like nearly in synchronization with JME. They're not even looking at each other, but they know that's the moment. Yeah. And then everyone else has to react because they've seen two of the goats of UK music react. It's like this fascinating kind of social experiment.
Yeah.
as a fan of this music. And I thought about it for a long time. I was like, wow, like people don't really break down the anatomy of a set, or like how people behave, or like the kind of incentives for MCs isn't necessarily to hype each other up, it's to make themselves look good.
Yeah.
But in that moment, they obviously they've had a lot of success and stuff, but their egos are aside. They're just appreciating the art of MCing purely.
Yeah, I also think that they're well versed enough in the genre to know that I think actually a set is always at its best when everyone in the room is just enjoying themselves as much as possible. That's what creates the chemistry. That's what builds the energy to like create a memorable set. Like, you know, it's I've always said like I've done sets for so long because I enjoy doing them. It was like, and that's kind of just how I fell into like, you know, being a set MC for a while, just because that was what was fun to me. And like I say, at that point, I wasn't really necessarily thinking about creating a project or about, you know, my output as an artist. I was just interested in doing what was fun to me. And I felt like, I think Skepta and Jeremy were on the same vibe that day, you know. They look like, they don't have to pull up to a radio set, but I think they do it because they like to, you know, keep their sword sharp, and they like to see what's going on, and they just enjoy the actual atmosphere of it.
Yeah.
And that's what makes a great set, you know what I'm saying?
100%.
So I think that was like the beautiful aspect about it. And like, yeah, it is an interesting one to watch, and watching all the little like sort of mini interactions and just the scope of the whole
Because
thing.
you can't be like realizing that at the time it's happened, because you're concentrating on just what you're doing, right? So
No. Well, I mean, on a physical level, like I literally didn't know that like any of those reactions were happening. I found out afterwards. But even on like in terms of what I'm doing on the mic, like I watch back now and I realized that like, okay, I was watching the first sort of 15, 20 minutes of the cypher and realizing that everyone was coming on this kind of like bouncy, more like rap influenced flow. And that's where I sort of shift my style when I go into grime mode. And I'm like, all right, cool. If I approach this differently with a little bit more like directness and with more of like a grime flow, like it's gonna cut through everything. And like, that's what I did. And that's why, you know, that's why the shit happened the way it happened.
Are you able to like make a distinction between like, yeah, you say a grime flow? What do you mean by that? If someone is like uninitiated, to how someone that is going to approach a cypher to like how you would approach a grime set, like what is the difference?
I don't think there's a difference to how you approach it. I think for me personally, in my brain, in the Rolodex of my brain, I've got lyrics that feel like grime lyrics, and lyrics that feel like rap lyrics, and lyrics that feel like, you know what I mean? Like just it's all compartmentalized. So for me personally, I was like, okay, I'm gonna do this stuff which feels like this energy. But so I could do the opposite as well. Like I could be on a Traz Presents set and see that everyone is like gunning for it and doing like their sweatiest, like gulliest ground bars. And so I'm like, all right, cool, let me come in here with like more of a rap flow and break it up and bring some like melody or bring some like, you know what I mean? It's just like a different element into this space, and that's what's gonna make me stand out in this scenario, and that's what's gonna add an interest. And again, it's not even about like, I'm trying to cut through this whole set and rare-tete. It's just about like what's going to make the set interesting. It's jazz, do you know what I mean? It's like, what's going to make the set interesting? How can I throw a new element, a new ingredient into this pot? Do you know what I'm saying?
Do you have like sets off the top of your head that I guess inspired you coming up? Like were there like sets that you went back and forth, like that you listened to?
I
don't hear people
loads of them, obviously. I mean, like I've got my favorite sets, but then I've also got sets probably that more particularly are on the theme of like what you're talking about. So a great example would be like when Novelist came out doing the rough sound stuff. I thought that was like one of the most exciting times of like grime or grime adjacent music at that point, because it was a very small change that he made, but it like opened up on an MC level, because it was like by speeding it up the way that he did, it was like you've got the half-time version and this double-time version of all the flows, and it's like obviously there was like sort of like a 3/6 like Memphis inspiration there.
Because it's like a kind of 150 BPM kind of, is that kind of...
I think it was like, 150, 160 kind of, I think it was that kind of thing.
Let's speak about Novelist, like while we're here, because he's on the project.
Yeah.
You sampled him and he MCs on it.
Yeah.
Like, give me the journey into...
Well, he was very, very intentionally the only feature on the project. And originally I didn't want any features on the project. And then I said if there was going to be any features, it was only going to be two people. It was going to be either Novelist or Young Lean. And we can get the Lean feature. I'm really happy that he is the sole feature on that project because it feels he's in terms of grime musicians, he's my go. I think he's the greatest of all time when it comes to like grime music. And I mean, for that song in particular, the reason I decided to sample him was because the samples from Take Time, and there was a period of my life sort of when I was in college where I was listening to the Igloo refix of Take Time a lot, and I had a version where I just looped the hook, and it was like, "Be a waste man, that's long." But boy, I got my head screwed on. It was like a mantra, and it was like, because that's like the realest shit I've ever heard in my life. I don't know if we've got any waste men in the building, but it is long. It's bare long. It's so long being a waste man. And so, yeah, and I'd done the song and I made the song, and like I said, I already had in my head he was going to be the only person because he was super formative in me approaching. Because before that, like, grime music was kind of something that I fell into because I was into rap, but then everyone on the playground had a grime 16, and I was like, well, I guess I need to fall into this sort of tempo so I can get involved. And then, obviously, I was looking back retrospectively and enjoying it, but it didn't feel like grime was like a thing that was happening for me growing up because it was kind of past that time. And then he brought the shit back. Like, for me, he's like the flag bearer for like the resurgence of grime.
100%.
Like, he's the most important person in that, you know. And then between him and Skepta and Jeremy, and like they brought the shit forward. But so I was able to then enjoy a second wave of grime and be involved in that scene as a result of his work. So it felt like quite full circle for him to be a part of this project.
Yeah. You're more like the third wave. Maybe.
Grime 3.
Or 4.
Oh, don't say that.
Yeah.
Oh.
I think maybe...
Don't start putting numbers on the end of grime. You're going to piss some people off, man.
No, yeah, maybe it's 4.
Maybe it's 4.
Because if the music is like...
So what's 3 then?
I think 1 is like, I guess, like Dizzy Rascal period, Roll Deep.
Right.
I don't know, maybe up until like 05, this kind of period.
Yeah.
And then there's like, that's like proto what became grime. Everything that was made before the term grime was made is like one generation.
Right.
And then there's like basically everything after Kano Mic Check. Because he says, what do you call it, garage? What do you call it, grime? Call it when you want to call it, I'm fine. So there's like, okay, that's the first song with the term in the song. And
Is
that's, yeah.
I don't know.
Like, Dizzy Rascal doesn't say grime on Boy in the Corner. He says it on Showtime.
I was 5, bro. I was watching Digimon. I wouldn't have out.
Showtime comes out in 2005. So I'd say, all right, 2005 onwards is like a second little wave. And in 2005 and 2006, the Boy Better Know Edition 1 comes out. So that's like JME Skepta wave begins in that period.
Yeah.
So it's called...
So that's 2.
That's 2.
Okay.
3 is like probably like 09, 2010-ish, which is like DJ Spooky, Elijah Skillian Butters, Boxed, Cozzy, Murky Ace, all these kind of like different P Money.
Right.
P Money's before, but he was like the king of that period of time in my head. Doing the grime and dubstep.
There's still a couple eras. We might be on 5 or 6. Like, so I can't lie. Like,
yeah, then maybe 4.
Because 4 is then gonna be like
4 is like Take Time. That's Not Me. Stormzy, AJ, Dave, like that period of time. Mm-hmm. And then
so grime 2 is actually grime 5.
Yeah.
For all my grime 2.
Am I cooking or right? Am I completely off here?
You're cooking, but you're also gonna get cooked because there's a bunch of like there's a bunch of old people that are gonna be in your DMs now talking about stop putting numbers on my genre.
Older than me? Not many. I haven't looked at my notes this whole time. This was kind of funny, but I wanted to, I guess, illuminate the music community that you are part of, because obviously grime is like something that was existing pre both of us. You've come into something. I saw you at Ormside.
Yeah.
You got a bunch of producers that contributed to the music, visuals, a whole crew around you.
Yeah.
Obviously, you're presenting as Kibo by yourself. So let's talk about some of these people, what they do, and I guess the wider music community around you.
Yeah, 100. I mean, that's the best part of the project, really. And that was from the time I decided I was going to make this project, I was like, right, I'm working with my mates. That's what this project, because if I'm going to be reaching back and I'm going to tell the story of what's already been, and like, look, like this is a very like reflective project. I'm like, okay, so I need to work with the people who I've been with up until now. So it's all my mates. Like we shouted out Swirler earlier. Like this is kind of his project as much as it's mine. He's there for every recording session, you know, and so his input is sort of like just throughout the project. And like he's just all over. You're just getting every corner, don't you, mate? He's all over everything. Obviously, H&RO as well. You know, that's like between H&RO and obviously the H Aliens as well, like Manny Dubs and MV. Like those are just the producers that I've worked with the most and built my sound with. And like I think H is probably the most credited artist on the project. You've got like 5 joints on there or something. I mean. 6. He said there was 6. Beyond that, it's like a deep production credit list. Like I like the fact that there's like only one feature on the project, but then I think there's 14, 15 different producers involved. And that was, like I say, for me, it was like an artistic choice as well about trying to like get that sort of product of the internet perspective across. And like all of the different producers on the project are like different tabs that are open on my computer, and they're all like meshing together. Do you know what I mean? And creating this beautiful sound soup. It's like a Hyperdiction, but the sound version. You know what I'm saying?
A track version of that is Chancer.
Right.
Chancer is a version of Hyperdiction of all different sounds.
Yeah.
All different sections and
rooted in one very particular sound, but then deciding I want to take it a different way. Because like Chancer was another one of the ones that we did super early, and it was kind of when the mellow grime stuff was really taking off. Like everyone was doing the mellow grime edits and like flipping old grime freestyles, and there was a lot of people coming out with mellow grime tunes. And I liked the sound of it. Obviously, it reminded me of like the old R&G stuff, and I just wanted to get involved. But I also knew I was like, if this is going to be part of the project, I want it to be a different take on all of this stuff. And that's why I kind of had the idea. I'm like, right, we're going to do like because like a lot of that stuff, you know, it was great. I super enjoyed the music, but just because of whatever context it fell into, it kind of fell into sort of maybe like background listening. It was very like easy listening stuff. And I was like, I want to make a mellow grime song where people really need to tap in and take it in. And that's why it's so long, and that's why there's like 3 different beats in it, because I want it to be like a 3-part structure. And for the last beat in particular, which is the one that I co-produced, I was like, so if we're making mellow grime, like what's the least mellow genre I can think of to flip? And I just searched, I think I went on Google and I searched like rare 80s hair metal and found something with like 2K views on YouTube and just went, cool, we're taking that. And I just tried to make like the most cracked out, like, just put my whole Kibussy into a mellow grime instrumental. Do you know what I'm saying? And then because of the way that it was built, and I had enough of the project built at that point already. Like I said, I was treating this like a film. That is the turning point in the project, and that's the reason it goes from taking the theme of being a chancer. In the beginning, it's quite a like happy-go-lucky, like, oh yeah, fucking, I'm gonna do my thing, like off the back of Yes Boss, like feeling like the man, cool, I'm gonna take my chance. And then by the end of the project, with the turn of the instrumental, you start reflecting on the idea that like a chance is quite a sacred thing, and it's like the pressure and the anxiety of like having a chance and fucking that chance up, you know, and not being able to make the most of the chances that you're given because you don't get that many of them. Do you know what I'm saying? And then
do you feel like that now with this project, like now that you've kind of completed something and you're going to go out there, you're going to go on tour, like there's all these.
I feel like I took the chance. I feel like I took it well, and I feel like the most prominent lyric on that track is when I say, "Too many man want to chat about motion. How many of you man can stay still?" That was the thing that really resonated with me, because there were so many moments in the process of making this project where I would have a viral moment or whatever, and I would have a million people down the back of my neck saying, you need to capitalize. That was their favorite word. You know, you got motion right now, you need to capitalize on your motion. And I was like, if I need to do something in the next month for this motion to make sense, is it really motion? Like, is it really anything valuable? Or is this just like a hype train that is going the wrong way? Do you know what I mean? Because it's very easy to go downhill and you're going to go very fast, but you might not know you're going downhill. I'd rather like wait and figure out where's uphill and like do the long haul that way. Do you know what I mean? And so as a result, I feel like that is what I've done. I feel like the chance that I took was actually stepping back and deciding to build this project as well, instead of trying to make like, you know what I mean? Like take a clip of a viral moment and make a big song out of it and try and turn it into like a...
Yeah. Or even like, I think one of the things that happens in rap and grime is like, you make a song about the moment.
Right.
Yeah, it's like the...
Yeah, like super meta, and it's just like no one gives a shit.
It's like if you have a big song, then the second song is about the big song.
Yeah.
And then the third song is about how the second song didn't do as well, but you're going to get the haters back. And then the fourth song is kind of like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, oh man, I lost everyone. Let's do a girl song. And it's like those kind of panics that you see people go through. You're like, oh, like, this is so, it's so predictable. Whereas when I think in following you, industry hasn't been predictable.
No, and you know what it is? Like, at the end of the day, I've been doing this for so long that if I was gonna jump on a moment, I could have jumped on a moment like 8 years ago. I could have jumped on a moment 5 years ago. I could have jumped on a moment 3 years ago. I'm just not gonna do it. There's no point. I'm actually just gonna make the thing that I want to make. That's always gonna be my priority in music, like going forward. That's sort of what I did with the project and building it up and doing the website and all of that stuff. Like trying to just create a platform in which like, okay, people who would fuck with me, like, this is the journey we're going on and this is what I got. And if you rock with it, you rock with it. And you know what I mean? Like just creating.
Yeah, you're bringing it back,
database.
like, tell everyone about the website and what's like the kind of underpinning the ideas without giving away too much, but just the beginnings of where it's at now.
Yeah, I mean, hold tight, Ms. Bar, and hold tight, my brother Chuck Dipper. We came together, we made a website, and that's just basically the home of everything that is me and everything that is Kwengletarianism right now. So we're just gonna let the people that wanna rock with it. You know what I mean? We ain't gotta sell it too much, but there's a lot of mythology hidden in the website as well for those who wanna, you know, collect those artifacts. That's what I will say. You know, there's a lot of music that exists on there that is part of the project that is not on the actual project on any of the streaming sites and that. So if you want the full project experience, I think you need to take in the website. And going forward, there's going to be a lot of music that exists on our website that isn't going to exist anywhere else. And I just want to create a community where the people who really care about the music are able to dive into the music fully and be fully immersed by it and not feel like they need to go through these sort of like very passive modes of listening to music. And
100%.
You know what I mean? We can do something that matters. And also that they own the music as well. I mean, that's an obvious one too.
100%. And
Kwengletaria.com.
I guess I can't talk about world building without talking about the great sport of professional wrestling.
It's interesting you saying that as well, because I'm just now realizing that like my relationship with wrestling is very similar to my relationship with grime, because a lot of the stuff I really care about in wrestling is very retroactive. Even like growing up as a kid, like I wasn't able to access wrestling super easily in the same way, like, you know, grime wasn't super accessible either, like, because it wasn't really happening. But also I just didn't have the channels and that. But like, so I feel like that's where my perspective of I have a very like self-filtered thing where like I just locked into the stuff I was interested in from back in the day and like locked in with that through like the internet and stuff. But yeah, I mean, in terms of the main thing I always say is like, especially when I've got like young people who come up to me or people who are interested and they're like, you know, I want to get into music, or I want to be a rapper, or like I've been rapping for a couple of years and nothing's really happening. I don't know how to like make some shit shake. My number one piece of advice for them is I'm like, study wrestling, you know, because I think people fall into a lot of the same pitfalls in rap that they would do as a wrestler, and what you need to do to be a successful wrestler is the same thing you need to do to be a successful rapper. You know, when a lot of rappers come up and they think that the most important thing is if they're the best rapper by default, they're gonna make it. And that's not the case, because the same way, if you're a wrestler, you can be the best technical wrestler, but if no one cares about what you're doing, you're just Dean Malenko. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's what a lot of these
Deep cuts, yeah.
MCs out here are doing. You're just, yeah, in the ring, you might be, you know, all kind of moonsaults and mad holds and reversals and all of this stuff, but like no one gives a shit, right? The main thing you need to do as a wrestler, what makes a good wrestler is getting over with the audience, and you need to do the same thing as a artist or as an MC. And it's not just about how good you are at wrestling or how good you are at rapping. It's also about, you know, I think it's three main things. It's you know, your in-ring proficiency, which as a artist would be your ability on the mic. And that's not just like, that doesn't necessarily mean technical rapping. It also just means like your ability to make good songs, right? So that's one thing. But then the other thing is just your charisma as a person, you know, as a wrestler or as a rapper. So that's like your on mic ability, your ability to talk, your ability to be likable, your ability to get across. And I like the rap sense of that is just aura, bro. You got to have some semblance of aura, you know. You can't fall too deep into the aura thing, because then you get aura poisoning. But that's a whole other conversation. But like, you've got to have something about you that people care about. And then last of all, you've got to be involved in an interesting story to make it as a wrestler. You need those three things to be an all-time wrestler that's going to make it for the rest of the time. You think about the wrestlers that have had a career and have been able to exist as legends for years and years and years. You think of like the Shawn Michaels, the John Cenas, the Kurt Angles, the Seth Rollins, like the Cody Rhodeses. They had all three of those things, you know? And there's other wrestlers that have made it, you know, maybe not a fantastic wrestler, but they had enough aura about them to have a hot run for a couple years, like a Goldberg or something, do you know what I mean? There's a lot of Goldberg rappers out there. It's like, yeah, they got mad aura. Oh man, these guys are like the coolest people ever. But then in 2 years, when the cool shit dies down and we don't care about your fit pics or who you're hanging out with anymore, we listen to the music and we're like, you're actually not cooking. You know what I mean? It's going to fall flat. But then the same way, if all you can do is wrestle, but no one gives a shit, then, you know what I mean? You're just that guy spraying 1 million bars an hour and sweating, and then someone's going to come in and they're just going to aura farm you out of the building. Do you know what I mean? So you've got to have all three. And I think once you have all three, you've got the ability to make good music and rap well. You've got something about you that makes you interesting and likable, and you're involved in some kind of story. On the rest of the side, like, yeah, you got to have a good storyline that people can buy into. I think the version of that for artists is finding out what about your perspective is valuable, and finding out, like, you know, making just good songs for the rest of your career is a way to, like, you can do that for the rest of your life. But I think if you really want to be a legend and live like forever in music and have all three of those things, like, you need to figure out what about your perspective is valuable, and how can you share that in a way that is gonna, you know, stick with people forever. And it's gonna be more than a good song. It's gonna be like a serious sense of like understanding or enlightenment or being seen.
Yeah, and there's a mix between, like, I guess, fantasy and reality with that, right? So you can have some of the names that you mentioned. So like Cody Rhodes, for example, his real life story is being the son of a wrestler, not quite making it in his first run with WWE, leaving the company, then going indie. It's like leaving the major label, going independent, going to work around the world, collaborate with different artists, build your own kind of audience, and then
come back and have like a UK #1 album, a Grammy.
Exactly. Cody Rhodes is Ray, basically.
Hell yeah, I like that.
So she was in the major label system, left, has been an independent success over the last couple of years, and it's like, that's the kind of his line. Cody Rhodes' line was like, we went from undesirable to undeniable, and that's real. That's not like a storyline that anyone constructed. That's just actually his life.
There you go. That's where the connection, I think, comes in. Is like the same way with music and the same way with wrestling. Another through line is that the magic is always going to exist in that moment where the kayfabe and the reality bleed into each other. That's what made the Cody Rhodes saga so beautiful. Is that they built it up with kayfabe. You know, like Cody and Roman didn't hate each other in real life, obviously, but there was history between them, you know? Like, Cody's dad, like, Roman was one of Dusty's kids, right? And then Cody had his relationship with his dad, and that was like real stuff. But they touched on it in the feud. In the feud, you know, and like that's generations of real life shit. And I think that, like, in music you can do the same thing. I mean, that's what Kwengletarianism is really, right? It's taking something that's so real, And so it's always going to have a core of reality to it, but then just mythologizing it to the extent where it becomes something fantastical and something that can be colorful and beautiful and, you know, everyone can get down with.
100%. Like even how we met in the first place, I asked you to do a set on With Me or Rinse, and then I gave you the belt.
The belt.
As a gift.
The belt that I brought on the KWC tour was originally Elijah's belt, and he gave that to me, and to this day, that's the greatest gift I've ever received from anyone. Yeah, man.
So when I see it on like, you know, your shows and stuff, I'm like, oh, that's a version of like long-term storytelling. And I knew that we would find a way to kind of relink. So when I went to the show at Trinity, we kind of had this idea to do this conversation.
Yeah.
And then just off the cuff, I was like, oh, we should shoot a promo. We should shoot like a kind of a segment. That
Elijah Maths.
Yeah. And what I did was I remixed they call it a promo in wrestling. So it's like a backstage segment with a wrestler talking about an upcoming match. So what I did was just off the cuff, randomly, I kind of remember the essence of the promo. It's by a guy called Scott Steiner.
Big Papa Pump, the big booty daddy, if anyone is unfamiliar.
And his lines are, I'm not going to get it like word for word, but he says something like, what did he say?
If anyone's heard my song with Ahmed with Love and Lil Skag, Bedroom Bullies, it's the promo in the beginning of that song.
There you go.
Where he's talking about, you see, normally when you go against someone,
exactly.
It's 50-50, but I'm a genetic freak. So you only got a 75% chance of surviving, you 25% chance, but then you put Kurt Angle in the ring and then it becomes 3 people, so now it's 60%. And he's just doing like some mad harebrained maths that makes absolutely no sense. But shout out Scott Steiner, man. That man is the
opening line
goat.
to that promo is what I said on your thing. It says, I'm going to remix it here, is that they say all MCs are created equal, but you can listen to Kibo and hear that isn't true. And Scott Steiner, in his version, he says, they say all wrestlers are created equal, but you look at me and look at Samoa Joe and hear that isn't true. If you put me and him one-on-one, he hasn't even got a 50% chance of winning. But it's a three-way sacrifice with Kurt Angle. And Samoa Joe knows he's not going to beat me, so he's not even going to try. So he's got a 25% chance of winning. And it kind of just goes into this ridiculous thing. But there's loads of these kind of like classic segments and things that we can, I guess, like riff on and use as references that are not as like pulled on in music.
Yeah.
Right now. And I think about like, I guess like social media and internet communications, it's usually quite dry.
Yeah.
And I had a few comments asking me if I'd like lost my mind when that video went up. I was like, okay, perfect. This is it's like a good thing just to upset the normal dynamic that people see you in, yeah?
Yeah, for sure. And I think it's an interesting context. I mean, obviously the KWC tour was wrestling themed, so we just decided promoting the tour, I was going to do like wrestling promos as part of the tour promotion. And like, if it's one thing I can do, I can cut a promo. Do you know what I mean? Like, I was born to chat shit for a living. So, but in doing, I just did it as a stylistic choice. And we were like, this would be fun. Like, and this is a way for me, because I can't do the TikTok thing. I can't do the fucking CBBS rap hand singing my song to the fucking phone for the 7th time. I can't do that shit, man. So I'm like, I need to find a way where I feel comfortable talking to a phone about what's happening that feels like it's going to be interesting for people to listen to. The 2 things I could think of was rap promos and WWE promos, right? Like wrestling promos, which also like into like I found out the other day that like Max B said in the interview that like when he was doing the Smack DVD interviews and stuff, he was listening to like wrestling promos and watching like Hulk Hogan and
he was watching Ric Flair
and all those peoples, and that's where he was doing. Cameron. Do you know what I mean? Doing the counting the money up and she loves me not and all that stuff. Like you know what I mean? That all comes from
that's
wrestling.
from $1 Million Man. Like that's
yeah.
Okay.
So like I just drew from that and I was just like, this is like an interesting way to be able to talk to a camera and it not be jarring, and there might actually be like an entertainment level to it. And it cut through. So
100%.
Just goes to show like, just
and I think
switch it up,
people appreciated. Like,
I looked in the camera when I said that. I said, switch it up. Sorry, go on.
People appreciate of like, I guess these kind of super niches within niches. Like,
Yeah.
because even I listen to the project, I'm like, okay, I don't get that what that is. That must be an anime thing. I don't know what the hell you're talking about that. That must be something from over there that I don't understand. But I
Yeah.
can kind of get the grasp of what you're trying to say, you know what I'm saying? Or where,
Yeah,
what the
yeah.
direction of a tune's going. But for all of these kind of niches that we're interested in, there must be someone like listening going, oh, that's that thing. That's that thing. That's that thing. Like you mentioned Rusev and the project. How many people know what Rusev is here? Okay, there's like 2 people.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hold tight the Rusevians in the building.
Rusev is like a WWE wrestler. It's just like the mention of it, and it's like 2 lines down. He's talking about suplex, and like Rusev does a suplex. Like all these kind of things.
Well, pulling on that, one of the first lessons I ever learned in rap is that because my whole thing was like I've always been a guy who's just got super deep references because I just used to like face fuck a computer screen as a child every night and just be like, yeah, information, and just take it all in, right? So when I was rapping, it was very much that. And I got into rap through like Ghostface Killer and Raekwon. So they was already had this like wild off-the-wall schizophrenic style. And so I came in and I was just like, it was just basically what you were talking about, but like every lyric is that.
Yeah.
And I came to realize that like you're able to do that, but it just has to sound, people don't have to get it, but it just has to sound cool.
Yeah.
Like some Supreme Clientele shit. If like for those who are familiar with like Ghostface Killer's album Supreme Clientele, his whole concept is that like none of the stuff he's saying actually makes sense, but it sounds sick. And it's like a abstract painting, right? And it's the same thing. It's like if you're gonna pull a deep reference, the people that get it are gonna get it, and it's gonna be super valuable to them. And then the people who want to get it, they're gonna look into it and they're gonna get more value from it. But for them to want to do that, the shit just has to sound fly off the rip. Do you know what I mean?
100%. Perfect. And just finishing up, let's talk about the last tune, which I think again it's like a bridge of generations. So introduce the final song on the project, who you sampled, why you sampled it.
Our War Game, produced by Swirler.
Yes.
I sampled Dizzy Rascal from Boy in the Corner. And the lyric is, when we ain't kids anymore, will it still be about what it is right now? And Boy in the Corner was a big influence for me naturally. Like, for me, I feel like that's the apex of like making a grime adjacent project, making a project where the songs slap individually as a piece of music, but also when they come together in a long-term project, they tell a story, and you know it's got something valuable to say, and it's got a unique perspective. But there is a level of sort of like, I think maybe there's the only thing that's missing from that album is a bit of optimism.
Okay.
And I like to think that the way that I flipped the lyric at the end of the song to say, when we ain't about no more, it will still be about the kids, is me adding a new perspective to what he was saying. And basically saying that, you know, when we're gone, there's still going to be kids and they're still going to be stuck in shitty places, but they're going to have the means to find inspiration and find the myth in the mundanity in the same way that I looked up to, you know, I looked to things like Dizzy Rascal, like grime music, rap music, wrestling, anime, fantasy, all of those things that I looked up to that other people created. I've created something that hopefully in the future, when there's other kids living their mundane life, feeling bored, not really sure where to go, they can take what I've given them and hopefully find something. Because at the end of the day, it's always going to be about the kids. It's always going to be about the new generation and what comes next.
Perfect. Kibo.
Yeah. Thank you.